Hey, welcome back to Daily Flash. I'm Mitch English. While many people strive to create, peace and happiness in their lives, they often sometimes find themselves feeling a little stuck. Our next guest, author and inspirational speaker, TJ Woodward, says that the reason is often deep-rooted, core false beliefs that we aren't even aware that we actually have. TJ, welcome back to Daily Flash. We love having you here. Tell us first, these core false beliefs. I mean, I've heard of core beliefs, but what are core false beliefs?
Yeah, thank you for asking that question. I add the word false because it is really apparent that many of us are walking around with lies that we have about ourselves. And these usually develop
Ah,
really early in our lives. Something happens, we decide we're either broken or damaged or something's fundamentally wrong with us. So we're walking around with this narrative, sometimes in the unconscious, and we're not even aware of it. Things like, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm unworthy, I'm unlovable. Those are some of them that I hear repeated most often.
and this goes beyond having the imposter syndrome, I would imagine, too. These are things that are, usually you're put in a situation thinking I can't do it, but these are things that really determine your whole life. The only way I can kind of relate to what you're saying is I used to be really, really overweight. And I still think that I am when I sit down in an airplane seat and or buying clothes. I have that in my mind, and I don't want to call it body dysmorphia or anything, but in my mind, because I've set that pattern that I'm overweight, is it that I would imagine appearance has a lot to do with it first, or what realm of those core false beliefs do they take us from? Like we're not good enough? Give me some examples, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, usually these happen when we're really young and our brains aren't even developed enough to understand what's happening. So something that might seem really insignificant to one
Okay,
person can be a major moment for someone. So if we're 4 years old, 5 years old, 6 years old, something happens and we absorb or we decide things about ourselves and the world. The ones I hear most often, as I said, are I'm unlovable, I'm not worthy, and I'm not good enough. Those seem to be running the show for a lot of
makes
people.
sense.
And sometimes, like I said, we're not even aware that we have them. But the way we know we have them is what are the conditions in our life that keep repeating over and over and over again.
Yeah, I'm glad you explained it that way too, because we see it, think of it as a big thing. It's those small little things that can lead up to bigger things. So I believe that. But how do those beliefs really impact our lives?
So, for example, if a person at a very young age, and I'll share from my own experience, at a very young age, I decided I was unlovable. There was a series of events that led to that. And I actually walked around with that not only as a thought or a narrative, because a lot of people will say, what's the narrative for your life? How do you change that narrative? This is something much deeper. It's really a vibration. So I would actually walk into the room
Yeah.
or any room, and that vibration, I'm unlovable, would be there. And I would literally attract or be attracted to relationships and situations to unconsciously confirm the core false belief. And as Carl Jung says, until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our life and we will call it fate.
Wow, yeah, that makes complete sense when you say that. And even with people like Tej, oh my gosh, you're a great guy, you're wonderful. Yet you don't believe it. Yet everybody in the world can tell you that, and you still don't believe it. It's so weird. So we need to know, how do we overcome these false beliefs?
Well, we overcome them first by being aware that they're
Oh,
there.
sure.
As we've already said, a lot of us aren't even aware that they're happening. So we look at the conditions that keep repeating in the time of difficulty. What's that inner dialogue that gives us an insight or a window into these core false beliefs? And I think the way we don't work with them, just as you so perfectly said, is from the outside in. In other words, no one could have told me, oh, you're absolutely lovable. As a matter of fact, if someone would say that, I would actually resist that. We have to go back to the point of origin. And it doesn't mean that all of us will remember there was that one day in kindergarten this happened, but we go back to when we're younger and allow ourselves to start feeling that which didn't get felt
Uh huh.
through whatever traumatic experiences we've had, allowing ourselves to feel that we can actually go back and in some ways almost change the past.
Okay, and is that kind of like what you also discussed, which is authentic living, and that will help create or cultivate even new truths out of it?
Yes, because if it's in the unconscious or the subconscious and we're not aware of it, it's running the
Okay.
show. So one of the tools that we can use is by creating safe relationships, safe environments, whether that's a support group, a therapist, a trusted friend, a partner, where we can be authentic and vulnerable, because we bring, in some ways, what we're talking about is shame. Shame is this belief that something's fundamentally wrong with us. The way we work with that is through authenticity and vulnerability.
You know, there's nothing more that I appreciate now as my older age is authenticity of real people. And that, unfortunately, sometimes is other people, if they are in a situation that they don't want to be in, they're strong enough to be able to walk out of it. And it kind of sounds like what you're saying there. But to me, like if I walked away, I'd feel like I'm going to be losing something. But on the same token, I would actually be gaining something. It seems like we mainly deal with like our relationships and who we're with and are they feeding that. Are you seeing that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes people end up in the question, should I stay or should I go?
Right,
That's
right.
the age question. And I think there's a lot of work that we can do before we get to that. Of course, yes, there are sometimes we walk away from relationships, be that friendships, intimate partners, work situations. But most of the time, I encourage people to do some of the deeper work on the core false beliefs first. And we might find that that starts to help transform the relationships. It doesn't mean that we stay in a relationship that's either not working or
Right.
abusive. Sometimes the answer is to walk away. A lot of people stop there. Oh, I just need to get rid of this toxic relationship. That's very popular in our culture now. But what do we do once we step away? There's still inner work for us to do.
TJ, you're awesome. Do you believe that?
I do believe that today. And there was a time I would have said, oh, no, no, no,
See?
no. False humility, right? Like, let me stay really small. Sometimes I think the greatest thing for ourselves in the world is to be big and to be proud of who and what we are.
Well, we're proud to have you on. Hope to have you back. I'm sure we will. And folks, you need to check out more of this information because really it does start with you and your life will completely change. And if you want to find out more information, check out tjwoodward.com. Don't worry, we'll have a link on our website as well as this entire video. Stick around. More Flash